hands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Alder.
Here.
Thank you. Alderman Flores.
Here.
Alderman Galloway will be here shortly. Alderman Hutchinson.
Here.
Alderman Owen.
Here.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
We have 5 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I have a motion on the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, which was April the 17th, 2023. Is there a motion?
I'm making a motion to approve the minutes of April 17th,
Okay.
2023.
Motion.
Meeting.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the minutes from the April 17th, 23 meeting, motion by Alderman Flores and seconded by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of this by show of hands. And the motion passes. Next, we have our minutes from April 20th, 2023 of the non-legislative system minutes. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, again,
The April 20th, 23 non-legislative session minutes.
yes. And second by Alderman Snyder. So all in favor of us approving the April 20th, 23 session, do so by show of hands. And okay. And yes. And I got used to Alderman Heather looking up there.
She did raise it.
I know she did. I got used to that. Unfortunately, Alderman Heather is sick and is with us tonight by Zoom. Okay. Next item of business, we have some ceremonial matter, and we're going to ask if the Utopia Club of Ozark would please come up to the front to meet me, please. The Utopia Club has been open house to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the club in the city of Ozark. And it's a wonderful open house. This is great. I mean, as for senior things they have done and all, the club, they had one, here it is. This is so impressive. 70 years they've been in the club, and it's all the ladies. Now, a lot of the ladies no longer with us, they're now in heaven, but it was cool to see your name, the impact 20 ladies have had over the years. Now, they've given almost $750,000 in this time frame, 50 causes and clubs in Ozark. But it's all like this. The park department alone has received $49,306 from this club over the years. Also, 1974, the police fire department has received $25,600. It's amazing these ladies have done behind the scenes and all, and that's why we're doing a proclamation appreciation for what they have done all these years for the city of Ozark. This is the proclamation. Proclamation, DFWC, Utopia Club of Ozark, 7th anniversary celebration. Whereas the Ozark Utopia Club was organized January 19th, 1953, with 20 charter members, and whereas the Utopia Club has raised money for various means over the years and started helping out the annual Ozark Craft Fair in 1974, and whereas since that time, the Utopia Club is and is president only fundraiser, and whereas the Utopia Club founded as a privileged vendor of thousands of visitors in many states each year, and whereas the Utopia Club top 60 citizens since 1974 are Lisa Lee, Ozark Parks Department, High School Students Scholarship, Ozark School District, Ozark Senior Center, and the Ozark Fire Police Department. And whereas since 1994, the Utopia Club has donated 60 local charity, Alderman, that represents $667,000 to the money. Now therefore, I, Don Furnace, Mayor, by virtue of authority vested in me by the city of Alderman, do hereby recognize the 70th anniversary celebration of the GFWC Social Club of Alderman on this 25th day of April 2023, the Black Tuesday at the actual open house. In witness thereof, I have unto there set my hand, fixed seal of the city of Alderman, this 25th day of April 2023. Ladies, thank y'all very much. Yeah, I didn't see women that come in more, they find that part of it. Thank you.
If that's okay. We already got so stuff.
Thank you.
Well, I learned this is the fun part of being mayor. So, and recognition of things like this. Our next schedule. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, Alderman.
I couldn't hear you when you were, can you hear me?
I think.
Okay, I could not hear you when you were talking in the middle of the room. Am I
Okay.
going to have a problem hearing our next guest?
She's,
Sam, I noticed the red lights are on the mics instead of the green, but.
okay. Okay, okay, Alderman, we're checking into it, ma'am. So we want to make sure you can hear.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah, there,
Let's see if she can hear you now. From out there.
Alderman Alder, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you far off.
okay, very good. Sorry about that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Next, item number 6 is we have scheduled guest, Joshua Tuning. Welcome tonight.
Thank you guys for having me to us. And my name
Yes.
or my address.
Yes, please.
14,125.
Thank you.
I won't take long. Just a couple minutes. Appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on new Alderman, Mr. Mayor, re-election, RJ. Over the last few months, had some spirited debates, to say the least, on a few different things, and I love it. And feel like that's a good thing for all of us. And so this in those conversations, I was asked to have me email some stuff, and I felt like it would be better if I just did it and sent it to everybody at the same time. And really my, I won't say mission, because it's not really a mission. My reason for doing it is bring an extra voice, another voice to the conversation, to have lots of different voices, lots of ideas, lots of opinions to be debated and talked about. And I can tell you that what I put in, hopefully you all had a chance to read it and answer any questions you might have too. But those are ideas, those are thoughts, those are. I'm not saying that it can be done tomorrow or it can't. Some of it's even doable. I'm not a lawyer on a couple of them, but the whole point to it was having a conversation and at least discussing it and getting the ideas going, I guess, is where I was at with that. So if anybody has any questions, be more than happy to answer them. Be more happy to have a conversation at another time. You don't have to do it today. It's up to you. Either way works for me. I just want to be part of the process and to answer some questions that have been asked of me this way instead of
Anyone have questions? I know when we met, I don't appreciate the time he spent, because trust me, what the presentation was not something you did in 1 hour. But I appreciate the thoughts you put into it and your ideas. And as I told, our agenda meeting, I thought that, yes, some ideas I really liked and all. So I do appreciate, and as I said, I want to encourage you, do what you're doing, stay involved, and just, part of this community. Thank you for your voice.
Yeah, and I will say that, I sometimes can be, so in my world, I wake up every day with about 15 different companies trying to take something away from me, and it causes me to have some passion sometimes that, I don't rein in always the best, and, David's talked to me a few times about, I just want to say that it's never personal. That I don't ever come across as personal to anyone that I've had these discussions with. I just, sometimes I get a little excited in my mind, thinks a little bit faster than my mouth, so it's ready to talk. So anyway, here to work with you guys, as I put on there in the beginning, we're stronger together than we are any other ways.
That's right. I think Alderman Snyder has a question for you, Josh.
Well, not just a comment, being passionate about your government means a lot to me. So just keep with what you're doing. Present your ideas out there. Be professional about it. You're doing a fantastic job. Get your voice. Let us hear what you have to say. There's oftentimes people are afraid to speak up. You have to speak up. And there has to be times when there is disagreement. If we agree every single time, we never get ahead. There has to be some disagreement in any conversation in order for us to move ahead. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the time that you took on this. I appreciate our conversations that we've had. And I think I can't speak for everyone else on the board, prior members, but I think they appreciate what you're trying to get across there. And I say that for me, I greatly appreciate that. And I would encourage you to keep on what you're doing and reach out to other folks in the community, have them fill these seats up. This is what government's all about, is folks like yourself just giving the willpower to step forward and step over that line. We need folks to step over that line. That's what it's all about. So I appreciate
I
it.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you all. Oh,
Thank you.
I was just gonna reiterate what he said. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I think the more people get involved and the more they kind of tune in to what's going on, the more it kind of clears up a lot of the skepticism of what we do and why we do it and things like that. And so I would encourage anybody to start paying attention and get involved. I think it makes us a better community overall.
Or it's really kind of my whole, is a big part of this. Like bottom line is, this age group doesn't get involved in that. In 20 years, then what? We're doing for our board of alderman. So, that's why it's a big part of this to be standing room only every evening. So.
Okay. I think, are you finished?
Yeah,
Okay,
appreciate
Alderman Owen has a question.
Yeah, just so you, I mean, I'd like to,
Yeah.
lunch, I'd like to hear, part of the reason I ran is not understanding and not knowing a lot and working and owning a digital marketing agency, seeing how young people communicate. It's very different than, I'm 42, so it's not like I'm super, older. But it's very different, and we've had to change how we operate with our own company. And I think what got me excited, I didn't understand the use tax and why it didn't pass. And so I got some education on that from Samantha and Steve. And so part of the reason I wanted to get involved was to the mission of getting education out there to younger voters and helping them understand it. I have kids, so that made me want to be more involved, but I was a person who didn't care and wasn't as involved a couple of years ago. So how can we make that different, change that? I think there's some things we can do that eventually I'd like to bring to the table someday too. So I'd like to get to that.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay. Well, again, Josh, thank you very much for your time
Thank
coming
you, guys.
tonight.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to our first reading of our bills and resolution. Our new bills, bill number 3444.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3444 on its first reading by description only, please.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Snyder. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor of this motion, do so by show of hands. And That passes. Attorney Amanda?
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Push Pedal Pull for the purchase of spin bikes for use at the Ozark Community Center.
Okay, at this time, do we have some staff comments? From Director Sam Payne.
The OC, years, we have, renewing our, which are the room, which is the classes that we have, so classes a week that involve our spin bikes, this is six, more of the classes are full all the time. It's really full, we can't get anybody else inside there, so far, they sort of wear out more of a than they are, so it's something. And it's time for us to renew this, so we went out. For 18 new. It's the 18 CZA, I'm not sure. But that's what we went out to bid for, 18 of them. This was a planned expense and it was a 2023 budget. This is what the bids came back. We had 4 qualified bidders and we are going with Push for 18 new twin cycling.
At this, help me out again, because attorney, do I, at this point, to say, okay, any Alderman, yes, I see Alderman.
I have voted in the past on changing out equipment after a period of time, but some of us are this process. I've slept since the last time that this, and I'm gonna state my understanding and then expand as you would like. The way I understand it is this our exercise do originally.
So spin bikes are done separately. These are not a part of the. They not lease these, we purchase these outright. The one is all the fitness equipment that's upstairs. Weights and our cable machines and our this is sort of separate from that. These as a lump sum. We just purchase them outright, we keep them there no longer, and then we can surplus them and we buy. What you're speaking of, yes, it's not necessarily part.
Okay, so what I was thinking of, I guess, was leased equipment, and that is changed out or something given as we equipment, or maybe
You are correct. What you're, we did this. Man, everything together. It was somewhere around for COVID. So 2021, we redid all the, and that's just because we have a maintenance agreement. Equipment, and there's also a maintenance agreement. It's so much that we purchase it outright, we would spend amounts trying to fix it. So we lease stairs and then we turn it over. We basically get new equipment. It's us a very innovative, and we can also kind of turn it over as things sort of in terms of trends for like last time we didn't have. So we turn it over, but separate. These are just spin bikes that we keep. They used to be upstairs, and it's just a set unit. We want to bid them. We put this out to bid. We didn't get a very, what I deemed a very good trade-in price for them. So we're gonna actually surplus them as opposed to do a trade-in. So we will own these, and then we will be or sell them or do whatever we can later. But this is sort of a standalone from what you're thinking of, which is the fitness equipment piece.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because I was on the wrong track there. So this is an outright acquisition, and we're not doing trade-ins because you think that we can do better selling it some other way?
So they will, basically what they said they would give us, so we have 18 bikes right now that they want to sell back, and they're saying they will give us $100 a bike. I think that maybe there's a community that would buy them as a lump sum for a better price, and or someone that would need it, maybe Lebanon needs it. I just think if we surplus them, we would do better than $1,800 total.
And then what does that surplus process look like for these bikes?
It's the same as all surplus process, which is what we do for every piece of equipment or anything that we have in terms of a printer goes bad. It will go to Chandra, we'll take a picture of it. We will decide if we're going to individual or sell them as a group. And basically it'll go on our website, and then it's posted on govdeals.com, and then people can bid on it. They will purchase it, and then it goes back through Chandra.
Yeah, $100 is not a lot of money for a spin bike, that's for sure.
I
And
think so either.
we've had spin bikes for how long at the OC?
We've had them since we opened. We've had spin bikes since we've opened. We've just, every about 4 years, they kind of wear out. They just got, they ride them hard, we'll say.
I've been in one of those spin classes once, and you're right.
I think
They-
it's the
they run
law.
you
I think
hard.
it's the law.
That-
That's what does it. The law.
So what you're saying is since we've had spin bikes since the beginning, it's about every 4 years we change them out.
Yes, sir.
And you pick that interval just from experience that they tend to wear out at that period of time?
They start causing us a lot of maintenance issues, and then we end up spending a lot more money on maintaining them as opposed to just fixing them and trying to keep them up, where they'll go down and then we can't fix them. And so we sort of start a pile of ones that maybe aren't as great, but right now is the perfect time for us to sell them and get a new set. So about 4 years is what is pretty standard.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Owen, did you?
Well, I did, it got kind of answered, but I was just curious more than anything. The one was like 61,000 versus 45. I think one of them first. Yeah. What? Just out of curiosity, do they warranty those longer, or do they have any type of anything that what?
No, I think there's a year parts and labor on it. I can't remember. I'll have to pull up the bid document, but a lot of it is like how they get it here. Like Push Pedal Pull doesn't have to ship them to us. So some of these other places have to ship them to us, so it ends up being $5,000 more because I have to get them here. So that's kind of the difference in the price is what it is. They're a local company, so they can bring it to us. So I think that's probably where some of their.
Okay, I was just curious. It seemed like a lot more.
Thanks, sir. Okay, at this time, open to public. Is anyone out here who wants to speak for this from the public? Not seeing any movement. Anyone against this? Okay, besides Alderman Alder, do we have anybody on Zoom?
Just Alderman Alder.
Okay. Board response back then?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, Alderman Flores.
Ms. Payne, you were saying that Push Pedal Pull, which is the local company, they are charging us freight charges to ship it to us.
I think, but I think everyone else is as well. I can pull it up and so can sorry.
Gotcha. I was just curious about that.
I think that's to get that to them. Shipping and installation for it, because BSN Sports had it. Push Pedal Pull had it, Advanced Exercise had it, and I think Fitness Superstore just didn't separate it out because they're the ones that came in at 61,000.
Are
So
they?
even at that, it's still the least amount to get.
Gotcha.
It's still the lowest bid by about 5,000.
And it's for the same Schwinn.
It's the exact, they have to be the exact same bike. It's the only thing we call for in the specs.
Gotcha.
There was no other option.
Okay, thank you.
I had one.
Okay, Alderman Snyder.
Hey, on the bikes, was it the offer 150 or 100 per bike?
So they offered 150 per bike, but they were going to take 50 for us to ship them back to them. So at the end of the day, it's $100 per bike.
Okay, so not 50 as a whole, it's 50.
$100 per bike, but 50 per bike. Yes, it's going to be 50 to ship per bike.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Alder, are we good? Okay. Not seeing anyone else, entertain a motion, Alderman Snyder? I know. Oh, we don't do anything, oh, excuse me, I was gonna vote again. I like to vote, okay. Okay, therefore, I don't see anyone from the Aldermans, therefore, bill number 344 will be held over to the next session. Okay. Okay, we now move to bill number 3445.
Your Honor, I move to replace bill number 3445 on its first reading by title and distribution.
Okay, do we have a second?
So
Okay, Alderman Flores. Okay, all in favor of first to entertain bill number 3445, do so by showing your hands. And, okay, did we get? Okay. I guess I'm waiting for Alder, are we? Okay, Alder, we didn't have Jim at the time. Are you in favor of bill number 345 first entertained to discuss it? Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Specialty Air Conditioning Services Incorporated for services related to the installation of certain equipment at the Ozark Community Center.
Okay, do we have any, again, Director Sam, any comments, please, about this?
Yes, we do. So I want to go back a little bit to August of 2022. The Dectron unit is the unit that basically does heating and dehumidifies the air in the pool. It's a very large unit. It has basically gone past its life expectancy. It's about 15 years old, and it was failing us pretty heavily. So back in August, the board signed an agreement with Specialty Air to replace the Dectron unit. We weren't really sure how much it was going to cost, or basically once we got into the project, like what was going to happen, what were we going to unveil once we started working through this entire project. So we went into a contract for $660,230 for the Dectron unit to be replaced at the OC. We budgeted $900,000 through ARPA funds for that project. So right now, basically what we're having an issue with, that's one of our problems right there, that blue sock. The RT unit 21 is the unit that controls the pool party rooms, which are right next to the pool, like you go inside of there. If you walk into the OC right now and our back doors at the back are open, the pool door will be closed. But if we shut those doors, it will have negative pressure and it pushes all the humid air into the rest of the building. So it's doing chemical air into the rest of the building. And both doors are open about 6 inches, and that is because RT unit number 21 is basically missed life expectancy, as are most of our units. But these two play really, really nice together, and they sort of feed off of each other because they're right beside each other. So we didn't include this in the original bid, but probably should have. And so we had to go back out to bid to add this unit because they play so nice together that they need to be kind of done at the exact same amount of time. We did order the Dectron unit way back when, and we're still waiting for it to be done. It's supposed to be the first part of July, the Dectron unit will be installed, and then they'll get this ordered if it's approved, and then it will follow as soon as possible behind that. The other thing that we're having an issue with is this blue sock. That's just what we're calling it. It is essentially the duct work in the inside of the pool. You couldn't have metal in there like you would in like this room right here. You can't have that, so you have this like squishy sock. It's plastic and it's what pushes air and dehumidifies the air inside the pool. We also are in need of an exhaust fan. That is not an exhaust fan, but it is a fan that we have now adapted to do what we need for it to do until we can get this one. I just included it in the bid. It's not like it's a very expensive thing, but while this company is doing it, hey, let's just get all this stuff fixed so that everything plays nicely together. So we went out to bid for the RT unit 21. We went out to bid for the blue sock and the exhaust fan to add to the it's its own separate new contract. So basically what they're going to do is they're gonna remove the Aon unit and replace it with a new RT unit 21. And then all ductwork, electrical connections, temperature controls. They'll install a new exhaust fan in our pool, which is the one that's down there. And they will also replace the blue sock. Right now, it doesn't actually look like this. We have it strapped up there. So when the staff got it all strapped back up, so it is functioning. Sometimes we come into surprises, but we pretty much got it figured out, so it's not so terrible. This is $135,000 to add to it. If you're curious, that's still underneath the 900,000 that we budgeted. It's 795, so it's still under 800,000 to get this up to speed to where the pool and the sister unit, I guess we call it, that they play nicely together, so that this unit will really help the other one have some more longevity in its life. So they highly recommended this, that we need to take care of these at the same time, or near to the same time. We did go out to bid, and there was only one bidder, and it happened to be the bid that was the specialty air that's doing this current unit, which I expected, so.
Thank you, Director Sam. And we had Alderman Flores.
I know they're in the pool equipment room right now, where I imagine the exhaust fan is. Were there any, I'm not sure if the specs were written wrong originally for our equipment room, or if they just didn't follow the specs when they built it, but is the new equipment and everything taken into consideration, the amount of chlorine and the rust problems that'll be there? So they're going with the right equipment, stainless or whatever they've got to do to keep it from having the same problems we had in the past.
And it calls for that in our document, says corrosion.
Resistant, everything. The other thing too, with the sock there in the room, was that due to rust as well? Why that was falling?
It's the straps, and I'm assuming it's probably the same reason, just wears because of the humidity. It wasn't controlled exactly right, so it's just one of those things where the straps on it.
So they'll be putting the right stuff in for those as well. Okay, because I think that was a big problem for us and why we had a lot of issues to go on. The last question I had on this is, with that equipment room, have we had anybody look at that, or what we're gonna have to do to keep that functioning long term?
So we're looking, I'll have a presentation soon-ish to kind of address all of our HVAC and some of our maintenance issues. We'll probably do it. I'm just sort of collecting information right now to bring to the board. So I just have a presentation soon to kind of take care of that.
So all this work here that you're proposing isn't gonna conflict with the other updates we need to do or nothing like that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Snyder.
My question is, when we walk through, I know RJ just addressed some of this as well. Do we have any of the other heating and cooling units that are in danger of going down right now, that we're having issues with, that are tied into this facility up top?
These are the two big ones that play together. Like I said, we're going to be coming forward with some more HVAC, some more capital expense stuff that we'll need to do for, but right now, these two were tied together, and each said they really recommended that they be done together, so. I don't want to say, yes, there are going to be more coming forward, but right now, these are the two big ones that we need to take care of to get it functional.
Okay. Is there any chance we might be able to get someone to just take a look at that and evaluate that and see what other units?
I already have that done, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Alderman Galloway.
Probably said it, but I missed it. The funds for this purchase, are they the remainder of the ARPA funds that we?
The board budgeted 900,000 for ARPA, and we only spent the 660 plus the 135, which takes you to 795. So we're still under our allotted, what we budgeted, which was 900 from ARPA.
From ARPA. Okay, thank you.
Any other the Alderman? Okay, open this to the public. Anyone here who wish to speak in favor of bill? Anyone opposed? Okay. And I know on Zoom, we just have Alder, so, okay. I think we're done with board response, so therefore, bill number 345 will be held to our next session. So now we're gonna go to bill number 3446.
I'd like to make a motion to place bill 3446 on its first motion by title.
And we have second by Alderman Flores. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor?
Oh, yeah,
Like to,
I'm sorry.
they need to vote on the
I
motion.
didn't, I'm sorry. I got right here. I can't read my writing. Okay, all in favor? All in favor of this motion, just by show of hands? And it,
An ordinance authorizing the city administrator to enter into a permanent stormwater easement and a temporary construction easement.
okay, yes.
Thank you. We got a few slides here that I want to run through you. This easement, has been a long journey and process, and it's taken many of us to get involved with it, but it's for a good cause, and I kind of want to express what we're going to get out of this easement by going forward. This easement is between Philip and Timothy Garrison. Philip is the main contact, Timothy is the son. But we are coming before you tonight because he's asked that this be passed in ordinance because language that he requested to be added in on this easement document. But what we're going to get out of this easement document, as you can see up here, this is the community forest right here outlined in green. The easement is right here located in the blue circle, and that's the culvert. And as you can see, that's our one way into the property. And to get this culvert fixed will provide us with a safe and secure passageway for all our construction, going to concrete trucks, so forth and so on. And not to mention in the future, school buses, pedestrian traffic, and vehicular traffic entering community forest. I was down there today, and as you can kind of see, this is there is a problem here that persists with this. And what's going on is right here, all this is damming up because the old bridge that was built in the 40s and 50s fell down, and instead of tearing it out, they just went right back over top of it. So in turn, that's just created erosion underneath of it and on the side of this current bridge. And then eventually this is just kind of washed out, and it's not in the best of condition, you can see, and it's just creating a dam. And over here, you can see all this debris that comes over the culvert eventually ends up on Mr. Garrison's property. He's taking out his fence, and yes, his fence is pretty much non-existent right there at this point. So fixing this culvert is going to provide us with a lot of amenities, and it's also going to help Mr. Garrison on future rainfalls and flooding. Yeah, there you go. And this is the existing conditions of the culvert. So you can see the blue outline is the culvert. What we are going to be doing is essentially widening this culvert and pushing it all the way to this red line. We're going to provide a 10-foot path for pedestrian crossing. That way there's a vehicular traffic coming through here. The pedestrian doesn't have to jump down into a spring or off the side of the road to get out of the way of the vehicular traffic. Also provide some stem walls that will help with erosion and get the water, get it into the box culvert and not eroding the sides of the culvert. This project is ready to go. We have a bid packet and everything ready. So we have Mr. Garrison up here, and then we have the Frankie and Larry Forty down here. They need a easement, and we're working with them as well to get that. And I foresee that one going forward. But we will not be presenting again. This easement was asked to be brought to the board of Alderman to be passed in ordinance. So I can answer any questions at this time.
And one, Amanda, I know this one here reads quite a bit different than normal would. And I had some concerns about those and how this has been redrafted. Do you, I guess really what it is a question to you. Do you feel like this opens us up to any problems in the future it being written the way that it is?
Well, the language that we use in our standard easement documents is designed to protect both the city and also the property owner, which we are using their property for either a temporary construction easement or a permanent easement. So it's really drafted to achieve that for the project that's being overseen. The changes in this document were negotiated to, I believe, the satisfaction of our city administrator so that they can move forward. And so while they're not our existing language, they are, I believe, satisfactory to his interests.
You want to speak on that, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Typically, you would not see an easement of this nature come forward before the board, but it was requested by the property owner and they wanted to make sure that it's a unique area and it does achieve everything that we need. And no, there was nothing that was proposed by the property owner that would cause any concern. And trust me, it was vetted very strongly by both myself and the city attorney. We went through many revisions of this, many conversations with the property owner, and we finally landed in somewhere where we felt comfortable that it didn't put any undue liability on the city, but it also achieved the objective of making the property owner feel comfortable and working with us in this project to achieve the overall objective, which is to get a bridge built to access Garrison Springs so we can continue to move that project forward. So yeah, I am comfortable with this and the way it was written, and that's why we're bringing it to you tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Alderman Owen.
I was just curious, RJ, what some of your concerns on the language was.
Well, I was reading over it and there was some things, the part where, and I'm not sure I completely understood exactly where they were trying to go with it, but one part on it was where it says that in no way can we initiate or proceed in any manner with any attempt to obtain title or such easement right away without written consent of grantors. What exactly is that whole paragraph really trying to tell us there in your
My understanding of the language, I wasn't involved in that language negotiation, but my understanding out as it was conveyed to me by staff that worked with the individual was that he wanted some peace from and not to be pursued for any other easements. So if the city was interested in obtaining a sidewalk easement or something like that across the property, this would prevent that. The city negotiated with him to request that we could make any such request in writing, because obviously we couldn't bind a future board to never request another easement if something down the line were needed. And that was acceptable language that both the city administrator was comfortable with and the property owner. So now any request for a future right-of-way easement or pedestrian easement would be in writing.
to be right, and this only affects things on this particular person's property, it would affect an easement in that area, I mean, anybody else's property.
That's correct. This would only be binding with the easement that's presented in front of you today, the permanent easement on the Garrison property.
The other thing that I was looking for here and is what more was. What was happening? It says restoring things or keeping things fashion. That was having that removed was part of my concern early on, just without being able to do it to a reasonable fashion. I didn't open this up to, potential, I don't want to say that, lawsuits or something like that, but just something that would be not up to their standard or something that was unobtainable for us to maintain.
We do typically include language on the second page in the second full paragraph for anything that the city is altering on the property. We typically add language that will say, insofar as reasonably possible, we will restore the property to the way it was immediately preceding the time frame that we did work on the property. We will, reasonably restore vegetation. We add that language so that everyone's aware that we will be held to a reasonable standard. We believe that moving forward, we will be able to defend that that's the common standard. And so hopefully everybody moves forward in that, same mindset, but having that language in the document also sets it for the expectation for the property owner. But I believe this property owner is aware of that.
So other ones would set precedents with this one as well. So we're going on that.
I just believe that the reasonable standard would hold up. And so it's just nice to have it in the document, but I think you're okay moving forward as it reads today.
Alderman Galloway.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, certainly my way of thinking and reading the deed is we don't lose anything by striking the words reasonableness. Because reasonableness is an implied term. And that's how I'm voting and how I'm interpreting it.
Could I speak on the language
Yes, sir.
question for not contacting him without waiting? In the LPA process, we have to send out a 60-day letter, so I mean, honestly, we're following the guidelines by contacting him through that process anyway, so that's something to take into account as well. I think he just wanted it written down and seen.
Anyone else from the board? Okay. At this time, open to the public, and we hear who wishes to speak in favor of Bill 3446. Okay, not seeing any movement. Anyone opposed to this bill? Okay. Well, at that time, bill number 3446 will be held over to our next session. And now moving on to bill 3447.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill 3447 on its first reading by title and description only.
And second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of moving on bill number 3447, do so by show of hands. Okay, and it passes. Okay.
An ordinance authorizing the city administrator to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Ozark Special Road District to cost share a traffic study related to North 18th Street.
Okay, yes, Director Jerry Parson.
Good evening, everyone. Going to talk a little bit about transportation tonight and some corridor planning. In our budgeting process back at the end of 2022, we are always identifying potential future corridor studies, planning projects. And I'll show you some maps here so I'll get you oriented. Maybe. Now, there we go. Let me show you some maps here just to get you oriented. The general area that we're referring to is Jackson Street, running northbound, and probably the biggest local landmark that I can say there is the Elks Lodge and the new Creative Audio. So this corridor right here, this 18th Street corridor is what we've been looking at. And as you all know, we've seen a lot of recent development. We recently made some infrastructure improvements in this area by extending the water main, boring that under 65. We've had a lot of interest, and I think one of the main catalysts for this has been the Chadwick Flyer, which, as you know, we set the grand opening for that. Several of you were there, big day. But that Chadwick Flyer is at play. As you all know, we've got future phases planned for the north. But in working with our partners, and this is key, we always work with our partners, and in this case, Ozark Special Road District. They're actually have the authority and jurisdiction on this road, or maintenance and upkeep. And they've identified it as a corridor that needs some attention as well. Again, the Chadwick Flyer, I think, has kind of boosted the interest in this area. And that's why we've got a local developer, which, by the way, it's no secret, it's Creative Audio. They're looking into that property. They've actually already rezoned the property. They're looking to hopefully land some really good tenants in that area. And we're excited because we see a ton of potential in this area. For those of you that haven't been back here, it's kind of a hidden gem. There's some different styles of housing. I'll just leave it at that. But there is a lot of potential back there. It's a beautiful area. But again, working with our partners, our goal here is to basically, hey, what can be done with this? So as we communicated with OSRD, as we communicate with Shawnee Christian County, Kristen Hayes has been very involved in this, as well as the Department of Economic Development. They've been involved in this as well. But we needed to get a sense for how are we going to make these potential improvements in the future? And that's really how we came up with this scope of work. And with it being a road that's owned and operated by OSRD, they were in the driver's seat on this because this is their road. So what we're looking for is kind of a general consensus where we land with the routing. Again, that's the location. This is tough, but this is the only way you can do it on a widescreen. I had to switch the orientation. So north is to, well, here, north would be to the left. So you're switched, and that bothers me because I'm a north oriented person here, but this first alternative, what we looked at, is kind of following that existing line. This is Clay Street right here. This is where the trail comes to currently. We looked at following the traditional kind of residential path and then getting the improvements made up to around the Elks Lodge. The next one, we kind of took a different approach. And this one, I think, is more neighborhood friendly, I believe. And again, none of these have been decided on yet. We're just kind of showing you what we're looking for in this MOU. We're fact finding. I kind of drew in, sorry for the scribbles, but I drew in where we think the Chad Flyer alignment is going to go. I do like this crossing. I think it's a, all right, I keep doing it. I'm being selfish. I do like this crossing. A lot of potential line of sight in both directions. And there's some benefits to this one as well when it comes to developing the developable lots that we see, because we would love to see something very similar to Creative Audio and other businesses occur right along that main corridor. It's what we're all about and hoping for. Alternative C, we threw in there, and that would be kind of following just this outer road. We do have some concerns with that being that close to Highway 65 and MoDOT. But these are all things that will get vetted as we go through the MOU. So right now, it's the fun phase where we get to just draw on maps and kind of plan and do things. What we want to do next, here's a little quick combination of all three. So that kind of gives you a breakdown. Residential route, kind of a diverted route that gets you through to the more mixed, well, I should say mixed office warehouse area, commercial area. And then this one takes that outer road approach. A little concerned about this just from the initial scoping, due to maybe cutting off some of the developable lots. And obviously, we'd like to see those preserved. But there's a side by side here of all three. These are PDFs provided by Token Engineering. I didn't even mention that. Token Engineering is actually Ozark, especially North District's engineer record. And they've been great to work with. I will say that throughout this entire process. So you're saying, why are we doing this? The benefits, A, it's always good to claim. We're looking for points of potential connectivity. We're always looking to see how we can better utilize our roadway system. And for you all, well, even those that are new to the board, the idea of an outer road has been talked about for years. And this would be a great first step in that direction as we head to the north. We're also going to dig into the topography because you do have some topography over there in terms of just the actual elevation changes and whatnot, and that will determine the ultimate route or the alignment of this road. We're also going to continue to assess where we are at with the Chad Flyer. Again, try to minimize the negative impacts. We want this to be a good thing all around. And then we want to try to preserve and pinpoint those developable parcels in that area. So those are some of the benefits. So in summary, again, we did budget for this year in our transportation line item. I think we found within the 2023 budget. We felt like what OSRD provided to us was a reasonable cost share. The total study is $25,000. They've offered to kick in 15, and then we would come to the table with 10. Typically, there's some in terms of our procurement ordinance, would be okay to be approved by the city administrator, but in this process, I've got some clarification. Anytime we enter into any type of IGA or an agreement with another governmental entity, it needs to come before you. So that's why it's moved tonight. Not a big expense, but I think it's a big project. Yeah. So I just ended with that. We just had a good meeting the other day, and believe it or not, that is a concrete crossing on a roadway to look like a road. So we're kicking around ideas of how we can cross 18th Street and make it look as old and rustic and cool as possible. But that's just amazing. I mean, you would think that is an old railway right there, but that is actually a combination of stained concrete and exposed aggregate, and it's ADA compliant. So that was just cool. So I threw it in. Sorry.
Any questions for Director Jeremy? Alderman Owen.
This is super relevant. I'm just curious. It sounds like you said alternative B is the best one. And I was just curious why, because
I'm sorry.
That's all right. This is just from kind of that 20,000 foot view in this time. I think as we dive into it more, we'll get more data, and I think that can help us really choose that. It's okay. I'm just trying to get a picture of it. I think in terms of what we're trying to accomplish, alternative B seems to accomplish kind of a more direct route. It doesn't cut across through multiple lots. It does impact on the topography. Really, we can't, and we may be able to squeeze this over. I keep doing it to you. I'm so sorry. We may be able to squeeze this over with our curving options and just curve this over and really preserve that. So that's what I'm looking at right now with the engineers. Is if we follow this straight path, we don't want to go diagonal across that. What we're thinking is curving, and that would also provide some traffic there. But it would also preserve the line of sight for the Chadwick Flyer crossing. So that's just kind of initial. I was sitting there with planning staff, and we were going through them, as you know, and just kind of, what's the pros, what's the cons, and really that's where yeah.
Anyone else? Questions? Okay, yes.
I did just want to reiterate, like as Jeremy said, this is a pretty high level view. We've been talking about this for a long time. Ozark Special Road District, our partners, agreed this is a good time to look at this. We've got development in the area. What this isn't is, I don't want anybody to think that this is a road design. This is just going to tell us what topography challenges and stormwater challenges we have and select the best route to evaluate. Because then the next thing would be what right of way would we have to purchase and do all those kind of things like that. So this isn't a roadway design. It's just a roadway concept to identify the best location of where road might work based on our objectives. The next step would be to get a bid for actual real design, which is a much more expensive process. And then the cost of building this road, again, I don't want anybody to get too excited. You're looking at probably a $2 million road there, and that's 100% local funds. This is an outer road, so it is not eligible for federal funds or state funds on that level, not transportation funds. So anything you do is all on you. So this is just that high level view, and this is where planning begins though. This is where we can start because we do have interest from developers. We have a very good market right now. And a lot of times when you get the right user, you can get development driven improvements that come along. And then that's when you find your public private partnership opportunities. So that's kind of what the planning part of this is. It's not, didn't want to jump in, but I think it's important to what it's not. So
Glad you mentioned that. I'm kind of pleased through this slide, and that's great to let them know that this isn't full plan. Our early cost estimates, you nailed it. It's coming in right now, it's about from 1.9 to 2.2, roughly in there. But that'll be further refined, but that's what this study is for.
Anyone else from the board? Okay, open this up to the public. Anyone here? Oh, yes, ma'am.
There. Sam, when Jeremy was talking and pointing to his slides, I couldn't see any of the slides. Is that something that is normal?
Well, I shared the screen, so I'm not sure why you can't see it, but it was shared. So on Zoom, it should have been able to be viewed. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, it's something we might want to think about. When he was talking, when he was giving his presentation, I just had one big picture of like the opening page. And then on the left-hand side, I had little bitty that were too little to see. So I'm assuming that was what he was talking about, but I couldn't see what he was pointing at and nothing came on the big picture. So just so we know for, for future, that's a problem because I don't really know what he was talking about.
Alder, did you see John's presentation when he gave it?
No, same thing.
Okay,
I didn't see any of the slides he was pointing at.
Okay.
The other thing that we might want to work on is when they're talking, the volume is better, but I couldn't hear them. They're garbled unless they turn around when Jeremy was talking and looking back toward his slides. I could hear him then. So I don't know if the microphones need to be placed somewhere different.
we have ordered a microphone for the podium, so that won't be an issue, but it's still on back order. So we'll just have to do our best until it's on back order.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This time open to hear from the public to speak in favor of this bill. Anyone opposed? Okay. Not seeing any. Okay. Therefore, bill number 347 will be held to our next session. We're now moving on to bill number 3448.
I'd like to make a motion to place bill 3448. It's first motion by title.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Alderman Floor. Motion was made by Alderman Owen and second by Alderman Floor. All in favor of this motion, do so by show of hands. And it passes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept and enter into a contract for a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Transportation Alternative Program Grant.
And we'll have John coming back.
Yeah, I'll stand over here so Alderman Holder can hear a little bit better.
Which is your presentation?
It's a thing, it's on the same.
See, I think it went away, John.
You're okay. Nope, you go back to the. Yes. Always, it
That's what I was asking, where
was the same one.
it's shut, it's closed, so where is your presentation? Like,
It's in my file.
yeah, that's what it's.
Technically, sorry. Back, Heatherman, or Heather.
Alderman Alder,
Yes.
can you see the screen?
I see Garrison Springs stormwater easement.
Do you see a map?
Yes, I see that now.
Good.
Yes.
Nope, go to slide 5. All right, yeah, so this is tab 851. This will be the Chadwick Flyer Spur. This is a $155,250 grant, and we will pay, it's an 80/20, so 124,200 will be reimbursed to the city with 31,050 to the city. One thing about these TAP grants is we've been very successful in the past. That's what the Chadwick Flyer Phase 1 was paid for. And then we're going after some more in the future. So we've been very successful, and we're very, I think at OTO where we go through, they call us eager beavers up there. So we're always trying to take that money. So moving on, I want to show you where this is located. Alderman, I can't really, I'm gonna do my best to describe where I'm pointing. But if you look, you can see the Ozark High School is up here.
Yes,
Okay, and then that red line that's all the way to the left of your screen that goes north and south, that's Chadwick Flyer Phase 1. So this right here,
yes.
that's what we just opened up. And what we have is a connection to the Ozark High School. And what will be built with this grant is the green lines right here. And the green line just right on that section. The school has already built this section, and this right now is being developed by a developer for these homes through here. So as these houses come to final occupancy, the sidewalk is then built. So this grant opportunity will allow us to have a connection to the Chadwick spine, or Chadwick Flyer spine, as we put it, directly to the school. So it's a really cool connection piece, and it's a fairly small, but it's very impactful. I will answer any questions you guys have for this project.
On the floors.
Just wanted to say it'd be great to have all that connected.
Oh,
That-
yes, it would.
That'd be an excellent.
Funny story, we actually were out here one day looking, going through, Chadwick, a walkthrough. And there was a kid trying to get to this, and he was running, I think he was trespassing, I guess, but he was running as fast as he could to get to this trail right through here. So, we're gonna be providing that kid, he don't have to run as much now.
Else from the board? Not see any, of this to the public, you want to speak in favor of bill number 347? Okay, if not, anyone oppose? Well, not seeing any, well then, bill number 3448, I said the wrong word a second ago, 3448 will be held over to the next session. We'll now move on to bill number 3449.
If I can make a motion to place bill 3449 on its first motion by title and description.
And second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of this motion, do so by show of hands. And it passed.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept and enter into a contract for a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission Transportation Alternative Program grant.
And guess who's back?
Yeah, you guys are gonna be sick of me by the end of the night. There we go. Yeah, so this would be tab 852 again. This is a lot bigger project than the previous one. I'm very excited. Everybody in the room is very excited about this project. All the way to the left of your screen, you can see that orange line right there. That is the Finley Farms, the dams right there. And right there is the underpass that's a part of that TDD project. So this project will essentially pick up right underneath where that underpass is, and it will pick up and run on the south side of the Garrison branch, all the way down to 6th Avenue. It will cut up 6th Avenue, and then it will have a pedestrian crossing across 6th Avenue, and then it will follow the roadway all the way down to roughly right in there. And the reason why we are not going any further is because the right of way next down to just the edge of pavement, it limits us. Whereas this section right through here, back to 6th Avenue, it has 40-foot of right of way. It gives us plenty of room to get in to put a 10-foot path. So we talked to OTO. They've actually met on site. They don't see any concerns of dumping the traffic onto this paved road and finishing the trail out through this paved area. There's only one resident back there, and so again, that's what people are walking right now. I'm sure most of you guys have walked down to Garrison Springs. Typically, you'll see people walking on it. Now they'll only have to walk on the paved area the last 200-300 yards. I will answer any questions regarding this project. I did not mention that this is a $550,000 grant with a match of 110 from the city and 440 from the federal government.
Any questions from the board? I am not, yes, ma'am.
I can hear a lot better, thank you. And I could see what he was pointing to. Thanks.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay. Okay, open this to the public. Anyone here who speak in favor of Bill 3449? Anyone opposed to this bill? If not, then Bill 3349 will be held over then to the next session. At this point, we'll now go to our second readings and final passage of bills. Okay, bill number 3442.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to take bill 3442 on its second and final. Second.
Okay. It made motion by Alderman Owen, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, by Alderman, okay, Flores. Okay, all in favor that we act upon this bill number 342, just by show of hands. And it passes. Okay.
It's amending the zoning code and official map by classification of certain property described as tract 3 of the old planned unit development.
Director Cameron Smith, you have any comments at this time?
You have any answer any questions?
Okay. Any board member, I guess, Alderman Galloway.
So that we recall, this is an amendment, proposed amendment to the PUD that was that consists of Old World Estates. The present PUD has commercial property zoned. And then request of the developers to turn that into residential multifamily. I'll state my opposition to the bill passing. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted against it. I think that's worth noting. I don't think that we should have people volunteer to serve on committees and then just ignore how they vote. Of course, that doesn't absolve us of our independent duty to evaluate it. There was no argument, no position forwarded by the developer in support of the change. The developer's engineer appeared. I asked the question, why should we have, what is the motivation for the proposal? And his response was, I don't know. In that setting, there's just was no attempt to persuade this board to change the PUD. We passed the PUD approving it at the developer's request for commercial. There are strong public policy reasons why we would want commercial mixed in with residential. Our tax base is very narrow. So in light of that, with the developer presenting no argument in favor of this bill, with planning and zoning turning it down, I oppose it. Thank you.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this bill? Oh, no, okay, okay, well, let's open the floor to just comment, Alderman Snyder.
Well, I want to make sure that everyone's on the same sheet of music with this one. Apparently, the developer did not want to put any forth effort, for his argument, and I have nothing for that. These folks do not want multifamily in their neighborhood. I believe in what the folks want. They were told one thing and this guy wants to do something else. That's not cool in my book. Okay. If he wants to make the changes right to where it's palatable for these folks to live there because they have a vested future there, I'm all for it. But as it stands now, no.
Alderman Flores.
But I think there's still some unaddressed concerns as well to both your guys' point. One being the HOA dues, that these would be renters, and are they going to be able to use the facilities there? That has not been addressed, nor have we had an opportunity to ask that question of the developer. That's a big concern of mine because it is a great question. I think it should have an answer on how that's going to work, or if it's even been thought about. So as is, as presented, I can't find myself in favor of it either, with so many unknowns and the inability to have a way to address it.
Anyone else on the board? Okay. Then entertain a motion. If I see no, I mean, there seems to be no discussion.
Well, motion to adopt. Motion to adopt ordinance.
Motion made by Alderman Owen. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, made by Alderman Flores. Okay, be voted by roll call.
Alderman Alder,
Nay,
Alderman Snyder. Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Galloway, Alderman Flores.
Nay.
Alderman Owen. We have 6 nay votes. Motion fails.
Thank you all. Let's move on now to our next bill, bill number 3443.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3443 on its second reading by title only.
By
Second.
Alderman Flores. Okay, all in favor of this motion, do so by show of hands. And it passes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Christian County for mutual aid.
Okay. At this time, this would be Amanda. Who would be the person to speak for this if you have questions?
At the last meeting, you had the Director of Emergency Management, but
Okay,
I would be
right.
happy to answer any questions. It is a renewal of an existing agreement. And I can answer any questions or our city administrator can.
Any questions from the board? Yes, sir, Alderman
I
Snyder.
just want to make comments that communication is vital. Okay, without communication with our other agencies in the area right here, your calls are ever going to fall on deaf ears. It's as simple as that. So I definitely think we need to move forward with this, especially when it comes to mutual aid.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the board wish to speak? Okay, not seeing anyone. Alderman Galloway.
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3443, ordinance number 23-031.
Okay, seconded by,
Second.
okay. So bill 3443 now become ordinance number 23031, motion by Alderman Galloway and second by Alderman Flores, voting by roll call.
Alderman Owen.
Say yeah.
Yes, aye. Yeah.
Or-
Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Snyder. Alderman Flores.
Aye.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Alder.
aye.
We have 6 aye votes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now move into our reports of officers, board and committees. So our city administrator, Steve Childers.
Mr. Mayor, I kind of just want to start off with an observation. I don't know, it's kind of a quiet night and we've got a pretty big agenda. We started off with a group of ladies that have worked with other people to care about this town for over 70 years. I think that's pretty neat. And then when you really look at our agenda, you look at all the exciting things that's going on in the city of Ozark. I mean, these trail projects are amazing. I mean, other cities would love to have these things going on and we're actually moving them forward. So congratulations on that. Taking care of our assets like the OC and doing things like the spin bikes. That probably sounds pretty trivial to a lot of people, but you know, to the people who are members at the OC who do that, that's a big deal. And just like any of the equipment that's in there. So I don't know. I look at stuff like this, like I say, it's kind of a quiet night. I don't know what's going on, but that kind of stuff just excites me. And we know that there's been a lot of funds out there that we've seen for, you know, whatever reasons, from COVID to ARPA and things like that. And I'm just really proud of the way the city goes after that stuff and maximizes the opportunities that we have. And we're just always doing that. And the staff does a great job with that. So excellent job on that. And thanks for the presentations, because this stuff is the kind of things that a lot of other cities would like to be doing, and we're doing it. So I just wanted to make that observation. And then I'll move on. The only other thing I have is just want to remind everybody that April 30th through May 2nd is Professional Municipal Clerks Week. And so your municipal clerk over there does a great job. And if you want to say thank you and celebrate her, please do that during that time. I think I saw some donuts in the kitchen today. I don't know. Yeah, so way to go. So I just wanted to mention that to everybody. And thanks to Ms. Hodges for the job she does. So, but Mr. Mayor, that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There was a third thing. There is a report update that I would like Ms. Payne to provide, and please go ahead and tell her what it's all about.
It seems like all my projects are like the longest projects, so I have to go all the way back to bring you guys up to speed. So back during COVID, one of the biggest things that kind of came out of that is that we don't have the best internet here in Ozark. We don't have fiber. We had a lot of complaints. A lot more people were working from home, and they were just upset that we basically don't have high-speed fiber here in Ozark. So we weren't the only ones that had this same issue, right? So there was a group of Christian County, Greene County, Stratford, Ozark, Nixa, Republic, and Willard all got together and basically formed a regional broadband initiative board. It's a group. And what we did is we thought, if we all work together collaboratively, we will be able to possibly look at federal funding or different types of grants to bring fiber to all of us, because none of us have. So we thought if we work together, it would be better than each one of us trying to go after a certain amount of funding or stuff. So we formed a RBI board. It's called a Regional Broadband Board. And we hired a group that went and did a feasibility study. They hired the broadband group out of Las Vegas. We put out an RFQ, the board did. The reason I do this, I sit on the board, so that's why I have this information. So we hired the broadband group out of Las Vegas, and I think we did that in December. So over the last almost 5-6 months, we've been meeting with them. They've been doing a ton of research. We've had meetings, giving them information about it. And we're almost to a point where we can get a report back from them that says, hey, this is what it is. There's some tentative results, but to say, this is what it would cost to bring internet to Nixa. This is what it would cost to bring fiber to Ozark. So I'm hoping that I'll have a update soon. They're saying possibly the end of May, we'll have an official number of what that would look like. As we start to kind of talk about it, it's a very large number that the whole group is at. But there are a lot of options that we're still looking at in terms of being able to go after funding as a group. This sets us sort of apart from other groups because we actually have a board. So it gives us a little bit more power. More official. So just wanted you to know that we're still that I'll have results soon, and maybe start looking towards something. So
Thank you.
Music to my ears. That's awesome. I work from home sometimes and my internet Waterford is,
Very good. Well, moving on, we actually have to go to a closed session.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
I've got a question.
yes, sir. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Backing up, can you tell me when they're going to have the bridge set back in place?
our Mill Pond Bridge.
Yes.
So I think that's a 248-day contract. That is technically phase 5. It will be the last phase of that project. So they're running into resurfacing it and doing it. It's going to be a couple of months before that's set back in place. It isn't even expected to be done until August or September. And like I said, that is phase 5. So I don't have a date right now, but it will be a while.
Okay, the reason I'm asking that, one of the largest events that we have in Ozark is the Search on the Duck Race. How does that impact that? Have those folks been approached about that?
I actually would love to answer your question. I've met with, I've talked to Deutscher. We've already begun conversations. Mill Pond Bridge is actually always shut down during the event. It's something that we only allow pedestrian traffic. The Finley Farms has never been open while we've done this whole thing. So before you would park people on that side and you could kind of bring them over. So I don't think it's really going to change the event a ton. It'll just be shuttle buses how they get in and do a route. Before it was just across there, but that isn't going to be an issue. It'll just be a kind of a circle route where they'll come in and go back the other way. But nobody could use that anyway because it was always shut down during the event. You could only use it as pedestrian. So we're not seeing it as a large factor.
I'm just curious because there was concerns brought up about it because generally speaking, observers went up on the bridge and they watched the ducks. The members of Sertoma, were they brought into the fold on this one when it comes to,
They were aware that this was gonna be an issue this year.
okay, so they were actually included in the conversation, this is going to come off, the bridge was actually come out and be repaired during the summer?
The president of Sertoma was our mayor as we walked through this process, so he was very involved and was quite aware of the situation as it was unfolding.
The reason I'm asking that, I've had a lot of questions about that, how it's going to affect the participation this year with the duck race.
You know, I guess all I can say is when you're doing a $3 million project, it has to get done when it has to get done. So certainly we try to take all those things into consideration, but and we did think of that. The main focus was to try to get phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 done so that the only complication, or I guess the only phase left not to be done to allow for the north-south traffic to flow was the bridge part. So it was one of those situations where with any road project, something had to give and you had to pick whichever one was going to be the piece that you didn't have done. So we started over here because we definitely wanted to make sure that the entrance to the park, the north-south route on Riverside Road, all of that was open and functional because as Ms. Payne said, even though the spectators do go up there, the bridge was always closed to traffic. And I do know in visiting with the previous mayor, they have really perfected their shuttle system. Now they do all that from the high school parking lot. And it seems to be working really, really well, or at least that's what I understand anyway. So yeah, I don't know that there was any way to avoid it completely. But it's one of those things where I don't know. I wish I could say no pain, no gain, but yeah, and we knew something was going to be a little bit of a sting, but that was the best we could do.
Gotcha.
So
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I'm just curious, the night of the balloon glow, how many people are usually at the park for the balloon glow?
how many people?
Yeah.
Well, I know the balloon glow is probably the biggest attended evening all at once. It's kind of like you have a big rush that goes there and then everybody leaves. And is there, I don't know. I don't know what the estimated crowd is at the balloon glow. 13,000? Does that sound right? Is that way too much?
Alderman Snyder's really good at we
Maybe,
took a tour the
yeah.
other day, and I made him guess how many people were in the facility that day. I don't know how many. I'm not very good at that. I'd say there's a lot, several thousand people.
Well, I just, of course, July 7th, 8th is the new Faith concert, Faith Family Farm, and Newsboys, they're anticipating 10,000 for that concert, which is right down, in the park. So I just was curious. I know it's gonna be the same challenge of 2 ways in and out. So
That free flowing traffic will make a big difference, because like I said before, that's always been just allowed for, it probably is maybe even slightly easier for the police department. I think they're thinking like, we don't have to do that anymore, but that free flowing traffic, because that's the issue, right? Is getting people out of here. We love them to come here, but we need them to go away all at the same time too, so.
That was actually brought up was the traffic. I mean, with the PD, with manpower constraints, I mean, that's really going to impact their ability to respond and get traffic in and out with that volume of people with limited access in and out. And it does, to me, it poses a safety issue.
They, like I said before, that bridge was closed, so I'm hoping that with that free flowing extra lane, it's gonna get more people out faster so that we can respond. And we do have a 911 center down there. There's which has good access, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more comments from the board? Because we do have to go to a closed session. Okay, at this time, we need to go to a closed session regarding real estate. Someone make the motion. Okay, Alderman Snyder, seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor that we go to a closed session? Oh, roll call. I'm sorry,
Yeah, that's
I got right here. Okay.
Alderman Alder,
Here, yes,
Thank
aye.
Alderman Flores, Alderman Galloway, Alderman Hudson, Alderman Owen, Alderman Snyder. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, I have a question. How are we gonna, Miss Alderman Alder, how are we gonna do with this?
Well, we got some choices. Alder, would you like for me to FaceTime you?
Sure.
Are you an Apple girl? An iPhone?
Well, that's a good question.
Do you have
I
an
don't
iPhone?
know. It's phone.
Yep, I'll FaceTime you in just a second.
Okay,
I think it's an Apple.
Yep, it is. I'll FaceTime you in just 1 second.
Okay.
if we could adjourn, please. Okay, well, we just have one order of business left. I ask for adjournment. Is there a motion that we adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Alderman Galloway, second by,
Second,
by Alderman. Very good. Very good. So, yeah, so all in favor, do so by show of hands. And it passes. Thank you all tonight for your service.